Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
So we're taking a look at excerpts from a document
Okay.
that breaks down the book of James, chapters 1 through 3.
Nice.
And it covers a lot of ground.
Yeah.
It's all about how we navigate trials in our lives,
Okay.
how we seek wisdom,
Right.
and how we can try to tame our tongues.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
So right off the bat, this document kind of throws us a curveball.
Okay.
Because it talks about finding pure joy in the face of trials, which is kind of like a mind-blowing concept.
Yeah. Who actually feels joyful when everything's falling apart?
Right, exactly.
That's
Feels like a contradiction.
It is. It's definitely counterintuitive, but the document goes on to explain what James really means by trials.
Okay.
And he's not just talking about minor inconveniences or everyday frustrations.
Yeah.
He's talking about those really intense, fiery trials that push us to our limits and really test our character.
I see.
So think about Job losing everything.
Right.
Or the early Christians facing persecution.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of trials that James is referring to.
Okay, so like those really refining moments?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that can actually lead to joy.
So it's not about like pretending to be happy when things are tough.
No, not at all.
But it's more about recognizing that there's a purpose even in the midst of suffering.
Yeah, that's it. The document emphasizes that these trials produce perseverance.
Okay.
Which isn't just, gritting our teeth and bearing it.
Right.
It's about developing a steadfastness, a resilience that can only be forged in those fires of testing.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like you're being strengthened through those tough times.
Exactly. And it's through that process of persevering that we grow in maturity and become more like Christ.
So it's almost like the document is saying that those difficult experiences, the ones we try to avoid, are actually the key to unlocking a deeper level of faith and character.
That's a great way to put it. The document even uses the analogy of a goldsmith refining gold in a furnace.
Oh, I've heard that one.
Yeah. The intense heat purifies the gold.
Right.
Removes impurities and makes it more valuable. In the same way, those trials can refine us.
Yeah.
Burning away our imperfections and revealing the true gold of our character.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
So trials can actually be beneficial in the long run.
Right.
But how do we navigate them without completely losing it?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the document seems to suggest that wisdom plays a key role here.
Okay, so how do we get this wisdom?
Well, the document highlights this beautiful promise from James.
Okay.
It says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault.
Oh, wow.
And it will be given to you.
That's a pretty awesome promise.
It is. The document emphasizes that God isn't holding out on us. He's eager to give us the wisdom we need.
Okay, so we just have to ask.
That's right. But isn't there a danger of becoming too reliant on just asking for wisdom?
Right, instead of trying to figure things out ourselves.
You've hit on an important point.
Yeah.
The document addresses that concern by saying that true wisdom actually starts with recognizing our own limitations.
So we have to know that we don't know everything.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging that we don't have all the answers and that we need a source of wisdom beyond ourselves.
That makes sense. So it's not about becoming passive,
No.
but about seeking guidance from someone who actually knows the way.
Precisely. And the document highlights that the kind of wisdom God offers is different from worldly wisdom.
In what way?
Well, it's not about clever strategies or self-promotion.
Right.
It's about discerning what is true, right, and pure.
Okay.
It's about aligning our lives with God's will and finding true fulfillment in his purposes.
So it sounds like seeking wisdom is an essential part of navigating those fiery trials.
Absolutely.
And coming out on the other side stronger and more refined.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But how do we actually put that wisdom into action?
That's where the concept of faith and works comes in. The document spends quite a bit of time unpacking this idea because James is really passionate about it.
Interesting.
He's basically saying that true faith isn't just about what we believe in our heads.
Okay.
It's about how those beliefs are manifested in our actions.
So it's like the document is challenging us to move beyond just talking the talk.
Exactly.
And actually walk the walk.
You got it. James uses this powerful phrase.
Okay.
Faith without works is dead.
Wow.
And the document dives into what he means by that, using several vivid examples from the book of James.
Like what?
Well, he talks about how true faith should be reflected in the way we treat others, especially those in need.
Okay.
So it's not enough to just say we believe in God.
Right.
Our actions need to demonstrate that belief in tangible ways.
So our actions have to line up with our words.
That's a great way to sum it up. The document points out how James calls us to love our neighbors as ourselves, to show hospitality to strangers, and to care for the poor and oppressed. He even talks about how our speech reveals the genuineness of our faith. And that brings us to another major theme from the document, Taming the Tongue.
Ooh, boy. That's a tough one. Okay, so let's talk about this whole taming the tongue thing.
Yeah.
The document doesn't hold back, does it?
No, it doesn't. James gets straight to the point.
Yeah, it paints a pretty vivid picture of how destructive our words can be.
Uh-huh. He uses this really powerful image. He compares the tongue to a small spark that can set an entire forest ablaze.
Wow.
It's a stark reminder that even our seemingly small words can cause a lot of damage.
Right, it makes me think about those social media feuds that get out of control.
Exactly. One snarky comment can escalate so quickly.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast things can spiral.
And the document highlights how James uses some really strong language to describe the tongue.
I noticed that. What does he call it again?
A restless evil full of deadly poison.
Yikes. That's intense.
It is. It's a serious matter.
So if our words are so powerful, how can we possibly control them?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It feels impossible sometimes.
It does. And the document seems to suggest that it's not something we can do on our own strength.
So we need help.
We do. James acknowledges that taming the tongue is a uniquely human struggle.
Yeah.
He says no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison.
So we're doomed.
Not necessarily, but we can't do it alone.
Okay, so where does the hope come in?
Well, the document points to the power of God's grace.
Okay.
His grace can transform even our most unruly words.
So it's like we're surrendering this wild, untamed part of ourselves to a higher power.
That's a great way to put it. The document emphasizes that when we submit our speech to God, He can work through us to change the way we communicate.
So it's not about being silent or suppressing our voices.
No, not at all.
It's about letting God guide our words.
Exactly. It's about allowing Him to purify our motives and shape our words so that they reflect His love and truth.
So it's less about willpower and more about inviting God into the process.
You got it. The document points to the importance of prayer,
Okay.
asking God to guard our tongues and help us speak words that build others up.
Makes sense.
It also emphasizes the need to be filled with God's Spirit,
Mm-hmm.
because it's from the overflow of our hearts that our mouths speak.
So if we want to change the way we speak, we need to start with a heart transformation.
That's a great insight. The document really underscores that connection between our hearts and our words. It even goes so far as to say that the words we choose are a reflection of our true character.
So if our words reveal who we really are, then taming the tongue is about more than just avoiding hurtful speech.
Right.
It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally speaks words of life, encouragement, and truth.
It's a powerful way to put it. The document challenges us to examine the motives behind our words. Are we speaking out of pride, anger, or jealousy? Or are we speaking with humility, love, and compassion? The answer to that question will determine the impact our words have on others.
It's a sobering thought. We often underestimate the power of our words.
We do. They have a profound impact on the people around us.
It's true. You know, it's interesting how the document connects this idea of taming the tongue back to the concept of faith and works.
Oh, yeah. How so?
It's like our words are one of the most tangible ways we can demonstrate the genuineness of our faith.
That's a great observation. James makes that connection explicitly in chapter 2, where he writes, "Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by my deeds."
I remember that verse.
And the document suggests that our words are part of those deeds. They can be acts of love, encouragement, or forgiveness, or they can be weapons of destruction and division.
It's up to us how we use them.
It is. The document challenges us to take responsibility for the words we speak, recognizing that they can either build bridges or burn them down.
It's a powerful image.
It is. It encourages us to be mindful of our speech, to choose our words carefully, and to use them to make a positive difference in the world.
You know, it's amazing how James brings all these themes together, like trials, wisdom, and taming the tongue. It's like they're all connected.
You're right. The document makes it clear that these aren't just isolated lessons. They're all intertwined.
Right. They all kind of work together.
Exactly. It's like they're woven together to create like a tapestry of mature faith.
Oh, I like that.
A
A tapestry. Okay, so how does that work?
Well, think about it this way. When we go through trials and we have the right perspective,
Uh-huh.
it pushes us to seek wisdom.
Okay.
And then that wisdom helps us to tame our tongues and use our words for good.
So it's like a cycle.
It is trials lead us to wisdom. Wisdom guides our speech. And then our words, when used correctly, can actually help us through future trials.
Wow, so it all comes full circle.
It does. The document highlights how James encourages us to see the bigger picture.
Okay.
Our faith isn't just about getting through tough times. It's about letting those experiences shape us into the people God wants us to be.
So it's like we're being refined through this process.
Exactly. We're becoming more like Christ in the middle of all the messiness of life.
I like that. So it's not just about personal growth.
No, it's not.
It's about becoming a blessing to others, too.
Absolutely. When we let God work in us through trials, through wisdom, and through taming our tongues, we become like vessels of His grace and love.
It's like we're shining His light into the world.
Exactly. The document points to this incredible transformation that happens within us when we embrace trials with joy, when we seek wisdom, and when we let God tame our tongues.
And that transformation spills over into the lives of those around us.
It does. It affects not only our own lives, but the lives of everyone we touch.
That's pretty amazing. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into James, what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away?
If I had to boil it all down to one sentence, I'd say true faith is active. It's about embracing those trials, seeking wisdom with humility, and using our words to lift others up.
I love that. It's easy to get stuck in our heads,
It is.
But James is calling us to put our faith into action.
Exactly. He wants us to move beyond just knowing things and into a place of real transformation.
And the document assures us that transformation is possible.
It is. It might not happen overnight and it won't be easy, but with God's help, we can become those people who face trials with courage, who speak words of life, and who make a real difference in the world.
That's so encouraging. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the book of James. I hope this has been as insightful for you as it has been for me. Until next time, keep seeking wisdom, keep speaking life, and keep diving deep into the truths that matter most.